the issue of online gaming and online gambling is an issue that has much wider implications than just for the whole notion of opening up the gaming industry in the US. It's actually integral to the very future of free trade and WTO, to the whole issue of the EU and the US and their trade relations, and indeed to prosperity, one could very easily argue, throughout the world. The implications of the United States' behaviour and the reaction of other WTO members to that behaviour.
Is the US capable of delivering commercially meaningful compensation to the European Union? In theory, certainly yes. I mean, for instance, I know that EU business would be interested in seeing state-level restrictions on insurance businesses in the United States disappear. So if the United States were to say, we will do this in return for removing for removing our gambling commitment, I assume the EU would be delighted. Now, will the US produce such commercially meaningful compensation? I'm not a US citizen, and I don't know that much about US politics, but so it's a question for the others maybe. But I must say I very much doubt that the US is going to put forward commercially meaningful compensation, leaving, of course, a very big question mark as to where all this is going to go.
I strongly believe it's not in the interests of a free society, or it's not within the ambit of a government in a free society to tell adults what they can do in their own home with their own money. This is not a good look for the United States. This is a system that has broadly been a force for good in the United States in the absence of my favoured policy, which would be unilateral liberalisation yesterday. The WTO is the best, I guess, backstop we have against any liberalisation commitments that have been made. The dispute settlement system in particular has worked very well for the United States. The United States has used this system very often. It is in their interest to make sure that the integrity of this system is intact. And I think it's very important for WTO members to keep on this case and to make sure that the integrity of the system is largely kept intact to the extent that they can.
First of all, there is internet gambling in the United States, right? The legality of that internet gambling is questionable, but I mean, this is internet gambling on horse race betting. The legality of that internet gambling is questionable, but the Department of Justice takes no action against these companies. I mean, there was an article in the FT, I think about 2 weeks ago, discussing some of these companies without linking it to all this. I mean, just because it's of course quite interesting, highlighting the fact that there are companies listed on the New York Stock Exchange offering internet gambling within the United States. They've been doing this for 10 years, and for 10 years the Department of Justice has been saying that it is illegal. Yet they haven't done anything at all about it. More and more companies have come and are doing the same. And in essence, this is why the US lost the case.
First, there's the larger, broader credibility of the United States in international negotiations. If any of you have been involved in negotiations with the United States, it's a fairly formidable foe that you're up against. And usually, the credibility of the United States is its biggest asset. To now jeopardize that asset by pulling out of a major commitment is a significant development. Here you have in the United States the biggest stakeholder in the WTO. In fact, the founder of the GATT in 1947, the #1 flag-carrying member of free markets throughout the post-war era, saying, you know what, when the WTO has a ruling that's adverse to us, we're going to do something else. We're going to pull out. Well, what's to say that another country with far less economic stake in the WTO, when they have an adverse ruling, says, you know what, if the US can do it, we can do it. And there, the domino effect begins. And so the credibility of the WTO as an institution is being undermined through this process.